Hey guys, and welcome back to Divine Journey 2, where last episode we got our ore processing up and running, finally. It's actually not been too long between episodes, so this hasn't had time to run, so we still have quite a big backlog of our ores to process here. One little optimization I am just in the process of doing right now actually is swapping everything out to compacting drawers. I don't know why I didn't think about this. I always forget about these things though. But yeah, everything will be swapped with a compacting drawer, and that way we have the block and the ingot effectively in our ME system. Yeah, that's better. Also, last episode we buffed our power generation by adding some more refineries and diesel generators. And I just got finished cleaning up this room. I realised that these two diesel generators were like 2 blocks off centre, so I had to move those over. But I did also move the drawer wall back a few blocks, and this gives us access to be able to walk in and out the doors, which is pretty important. I also was able to hide all the cables. These are all conduit facades here. And same thing on these farming setups, I was able to put facades up the centre, and actually we're now running the main cable up the side here. So yeah, this means there's no more conduit exposed on these farming stations, and everything is nice and neat here. It just needs a bit more sprucing up around the outsides. And taking a quick look at our ME terminal here, things are looking very different nowadays. You can see here though that we do still have a lot of ores to process. Something else that I've noticed here is, even though we're getting quite a lot of coal from our builder, this energized dark ingot setup is actually eating through a lot of our coal here. There is no other option for this other than to use coal. However, here to make steel, we're also using the coal in the enrichment chamber for compressed carbon. But there is the option here to use charcoal instead. So I've just hooked up a smelter here to smelt all of the dark oak into charcoal, which gets automatically output into this drawer. And then I've reconfigured the input of the enrichment chamber for the charcoal. So that should help a little bit with our coal situation. One other thing I realised that we should do here is, because we're getting bitumen here from the ore processing of oil sands, we should also fix our setup here for energized dark dust. So before, the way we were getting this into the induction smelter is we just had a drawer here set to high priority like all the other drawers. However, now that we have that duplicate one, there could end up a situation where this drawer ends up empty and all of our bitumen is sitting over there. And since the only use for bitumen is to put it into this induction smelter we've got on this wall, I'm going to add it into this interface and then set the input on the drawer here, so that basically all of the bitumen that comes out of ore processing is going to be transferred into this drawer and then used in our induction smelter for dark dust. One other slight modification I've made to this room today is I've just upgraded this advanced power cell. This allows for greater energy throughput on this thing. As before, I think the basic power cell can only transport 5,000 RF a tick, whereas this is up to 20,000. And I've also hooked up 4 thermoelectric generators just as backup power to power our refinery setups here. Since I noticed that when we were running the builder, there was occasionally a situation where everything here ran out of power, and then we would have to cold start again. So with the thermoelectric generators, that will always provide at least a tiny amount of power to these machines so that we can keep producing biodiesel. Alright, but the goal for this episode is to get into autocrafting. Now that we have a little bit more resources to our name, these molecular assemblers actually don't look too bad to craft. And also, since we're on version 2.8, we get the cheaper interfaces as well, so we're going to need a handful of these at least to get started with AE Autocrafting. And a few episodes ago, I mentioned that I had some plans for this room downstairs underneath our ME controller, and I think this is where we're going to put our autocrafting setups. Alright, so I've been doing some building here. I've got this connected up to our brand new Applied Energistics room. This actually took me a little while to dig out actually. I didn't realise that we had shaped vein miner in this. So I built the building gadget as you saw, but that thing takes forever to charge, and in fact yeah, it's only at 4.5 million and this thing's been in here for over an hour. But yeah, this entrance here now goes up to a little maintenance area where we're going to run wiring. There's not really going to be much in this little space, it's more going to be below this. But yeah, this is just so that we can run wires to all of the different areas of our base. But yeah, inside that room I would like to have our molecular assemblers and interface setups, as well as our crafting CPUs, and I think we'll also stick our ME drives down there as well. And at some point I should really get to cleaning this room up. I keep placing stuff down temporarily, but yeah, it will all get moved eventually. So how many of these should we start off with? Maybe just a few, since the crafting table recipe is, yeah, still like this. So I would really like to get autocrafting, at least to craft these things. Well, there's 12 to begin with, and I guess we'll also try to get 12 interfaces. We have 3 already. Just need some more chassis. Oh, and we're missing stoneburn. Okay, and it's because we don't have diamonds. Oh, and there's our quest. Yeah, diamonds is still an issue here at this stage of the game. Well, there's an even 8 interfaces to go along with it. Oh yeah, also one other awesome change that got changed in 2.8 is we can now do this with the smart cables to make them dense. I had this trouble when we first started setting up AE2. I'm so glad they added this recipe in. We just need a little bit more flux. That's actually a lot of flux. And to be able to use the molecular assemblers, we're going to need some crafting units, which we'll want to turn into both coprocessors and also crafting storages. And it looks like in this pack we need the previous version of crafting storage to craft the next. Normally I think you just use the next tier of storage component, but yeah, the recipes here have been changed quite significantly. It looks like we can actually go up to 64k, assuming we can make a 64k cell. Yeah, I mean it's not cheap, but we do have all of these resources at least. But the extra CPUs do require Britannia stuff, so that'll have to wait a bit. However, for the co-processing units, which are essential to this setup, we need more crystalline pink slime. And this thing is made with grains of pizalate again. I'm bringing these up a lot, but yeah, we need more diamonds. Alright, that brings us up to over a stack of diamonds here in the nether. We're going to process these with some really good melodic alloy grinding balls for 200% increased yield. And now we're getting diamonds. We're up to 300 already. I don't think it's finished processing all that stuff yet. Well, with all these diamonds, we're going to make at least a stack of pulsating crystals. In fact, let's just do 2 stacks. We're going to use them. Yeah, we also really need to get round to automating the mana dust and all of the things for mithril as well, as I'm starting to craft a lot of this stuff. And actually we have a lot of this automated already, like we have all the powder automated. We just have to get the last stage and all of the alloy smelters in. But we have enough for a full stack of mithril, which we're then going to turn into pink slime. Alright, so I was doing some more crafting here, trying to get all the rest of the components for our Applied Energistics system. And I noticed all of these machines are completely out of power. And there's definitely something strange going on here. I went over to the Deep Dark and turned off our builder, but there's still something somewhere draining all of the power, and I really can't figure out where it is. I mean, we have tons of biodiesel here. These energy cells on the output of our diesel generators are all full, but yeah, for some reason this power cell is having its power drained by something. I don't know what it is. I even turned off the power cell here at our ore processing, so it's not this thing that's draining all the power. This is set to none. I think it's just the power cells though, as this connection here hooks straight up to the old immersive lines that we've still got, and all of these machines have power, so it's something to do with the power cell that's not giving these things enough power. But yeah, like whenever I leave the area, I notice that this thing happens with the conduits, and I don't know why that is. Like some of them disappear, I don't know if it's eating energy from them. Yeah, replacing that seems to have worked. I think it was something to do with these conduits, not yeah, there it goes again. It's disappeared. I really don't know why it's doing that thing. Yep, they've disappeared again. Yeah, for some reason over here at our diesel generator setup, these conduits are not inputting into this energy cell. I've disconnected this power cell here, so in theory this should be filling up with energy, right? But yeah, there's this weird issue with the conduits again. I think restarting the game seems to have fixed it, but I'll keep an eye on things. But anyways, moving on, we need some more elevatium, which luckily we do have some more batch crafted from last episode. We have about a stack of this stuff. We should allow us to make 16 of these cosmic alloys, and with those we're going to craft them all into crafting units. Oh, there's 8. What are we missing? Some more methodology processors. For that we need some more osmiridium, but we do have quite a lot of iridium by now, which also gives us some platinum as a byproduct. And we're going to use some of those crafting units for the crow processors. Alright, and we'll also need some crafting storages. I think we'll do 8 of these to start off with. So to start hooking this up, what we're going to do here is place some cable anchors. And then from here we're just going to run a cable straight down the middle, I think. And we'll disguise this cable up the middle and maybe build out a column for this place. And then I think we'll start off with just 2x2 CPUs. And these CPUs have to be square. I don't think we can stack them like this. Yeah, it doesn't allow you to form the multi-block like that. So instead we'll have, I think, 4 setups like this. Actually, that does mean we need some more crafting storages. Maybe for the time being we'll just stack it on top of this one. And we'll create a second bigger crafting unit. But eventually we want to have all of these symmetrical. And then I think we'll run a P2P on this side of the room and also another one on this side. And this will link back to our main controller, same as always. And then these CPUs, you just have to plug in a connection with an available channel. So now that we have our P2P, we should have 8 channels coming out of this line. I've hooked up another P2P for this side, where we're going to place our interfaces and molecular assembler setups. And for these molecular assemblers, there's a couple of different ways that we can configure this thing. These assemblers allow you to remotely request and craft items in the 3x3 crafting grid. So the interface has to be touching the assembler, and we can actually surround the interface with multiple molecular assemblers here. This kind of setup will get you more speed, however, I think since interfaces are more expensive than the assemblers, I think we'll go for something a bit like this. And then we'll just alternate the molecular assemblers on top of the interfaces, and then we just have to hook this up to our P2P connection here. We have lights, we are online. Alright, nice. The next thing that we need is the ME interface terminal. But this thing is a very powerful item, and especially since we have Trousers edition of AE2, this thing allows you to access any interface that is connected to your ME system. But since we've hidden the other ones that we're using for passive crafting, we can only see the 6 that we just placed down. And we're also going to need the pattern terminal. Alright, so I think we now have autocrafting. Let's set up a recipe just to test this thing out. Let's do the chest recipe, since that's kind of an annoying one as well. So we need some blank patterns, which have a kind of an interesting recipe here in this pack. It does take osmiridium for every blank pattern, as well as vibrant quartz glass. But we just have to encode the pattern and then put this in any one of the molecular assemblers, and then we should see that the chest is craftable. Yeah, that was very quick, since we only requested one, but we can request as many as we have materials for, and it should craft them all for us. But yeah, it looks like in the time that we were crafting all of these Applied Energistics things, our power buffer seems to have fixed itself. We're stable on our power cells, so I've turned back on the ore processing output, as well as the builder in the deep dark dimension. But I have limited that to just 1000 RF a tick. So I've also gone ahead and moved our drives downstairs here as well. I think for these we're just going to stack them up this wall here. And this should be plenty of storage for us, considering we get the extra cells in this pack as well. And once we link the P2P, it should become online. No. Alright, what did I do wrong here? Just missing a cable. Yeah, now we're online. Alright. So this room is something we're going to be expanding probably for the rest of the pack. We'll keep expanding our molecular assemblers as well as the interfaces to give us some more pattern space. And also upgrade our CPUs to 64K and above, as the way we have it set up is going to be nowhere near sufficient to get us to the end of this pack. So now that we have some crafting CPUs, this also means that we can do some machine crafting on demand as well. And I think we'll take some time here and tidy up this little wall. I've decided that this wall is going to stay. We're not going to knock this down after all, but obviously it needs some tidying up. So we'll place our 2 compactors. One is going to be for gears with the gear working die, and one is going to be for plates. And then we'll have an interface for each one, and we'll configure both of these to input and output from the bottom. Let's hook up these 2 interfaces. So now with that set up, we can encode recipes for plates and gears. And one of the first ones I would like to get is the Lumium gear, and all the rest of the stuff actually for Elevatium. So in this case it's going to be platinum gears, and also Lumium gears. So now we can add this to our interface on the compactor with the gear working die. Actually, we probably could have done this from the interface terminal here. Yeah, we can see here it shows up as compactor, and in fact we should probably name our interfaces. Yeah, let's name them so that we know exactly what we're working with, and they will show up named in the interface terminal. So one will be compactor gears, and one will be compactor plates. So now we have gears that are requestable, and we don't have to go manually fly over to those machines anymore. So the next thing that I think we should probably do, we probably should have done it before the platinum gears to be honest, but that is to encode the recipe for the interface, which does involve doing all of the machine chassis, but most of this stuff we actually do have automated by now. We should add 10 gears though, but like everything else here, we need the steel casing, then we can encode the machine block. All of this should be on passive, and then the machine frame, we're just missing the 10 gears, but we can do that on demand. The simple machine chassis, we have all of this stuff automated. Same with the industrial actually, we have all of this. It should just be a matter of encoding the recipe. And then finally the interface. And for this one we are missing the formation core, so we can encode this one. We will also need the annihilation core. And I guess we should also automate these processors, as right now we're still just batch crafting these. But all of these recipes can go into our interface terminal, and this is where things start coming together. This is where we put all of our automations to use. So now we should be able to request interfaces. It looks like we've got everything, at least for one. So now we don't have to craft any more machine chassis. Yay! Alright, so with this next interface, let's see about automating the processors. So we already have this setup up and running actually, we just have to hook up an interface over here. So what we can do is extend this main line. I think this is, yeah, this is one straight off from the controller. So once again we'll P2P here. And now that we've got our connection over here, we can put our interface down. And then we'll put the chest on top of the interface. Change the extraction here to brown. And then we'll want a separate item conduit to insert everything back to the interface. So this is going to be on blue channel, as this is what we're extracting from the Inscribers on. So because of the way we've got our Inscribers set up, we need to be careful when we're encoding this methodology processor. And the same for all of the other processors. So instead of the printed circuits, we want to give it just the raw input items. So we're going to give it silicon instead, and also osmiridium, and we'll take out this circuit recipe. So now we should just be able to put this in our interface here and request methodology processors. Let's see if this is going to work. So we're at 36. It may take a while since we don't have any acceleration cards in our Inscribers yet. Oh, I actually forgot to empty out these Inscribers first, so this may cause it to get stuck. Let me fix this though. And in fact, we'll also have to change the output on these second Inscriber steps, the one that has the presses in them. Since, well, basically the way we're doing this is we have all of the bottom ones are silicon. The middle row is for the circuits itself, and then the top row is the assembly, and that puts the circuits and the silicon and redstone together. So instead of extracting on blue here, I think we want to extract brown. Since if we extract blue, it's just going to put it back into our ME interface. So the middle and the bottom row all have to be extract brown. Yeah, you can see here back at our terminal that it's put the printed circuit back in our ME system. So let's try to cancel this and we'll request another one. Hopefully it should work this time though. Okay, it didn't work that time either. But I think I know the reason why. And that is because it's actually putting them in separate Inscribers. So we have redstone in this one, and there's a printed silicon in here. There's a few ways we could solve this issue. We could use different channels or filters or whatnot. But I think the easiest way is just to request silicon here, since silicon is basically free, and also redstone. And that way it just means that we will always have the silicon circuits and the redstone available. When we request the circuit, it will just send the osmiridium or whatever other input ingredient we need. So now this interface is going to be extract brown and insert blue. And because we changed the channels on all of these Inscribers, only the finished product should end up back in the interface. So now hopefully third time lucky when we tried to request our methodology processor. Hey, it worked. Alright, nice. So now we just have to encode the rest of the processors. And since we made the second change to our setup, the recipe is instead just going to be the one input item. We don't need the silicon or redstone in there. Alright, so now let's continue to make use of our interfaces, and I'm so happy we can craft these now. The next machines we're going to hook up here is the pulverizer, and also the furnace. In fact, we should probably use these furnaces. They're going to be a lot faster. Although with this, we do have to be careful of the input and output sides. Also, let's not forget to name the interfaces. So the pulverizer setup is very easy, we just have to set the input and output side to the bottom, and we just need some conduit on the right to extract the finished product. And that's all just going to go back into the interface so that it will complete the craft. So with those setups, it means that we can encode recipes like, oh wait, we need more patterns actually. Can we request 100? Okay, maybe not 100. We do need some more glowstone though. And the glowstone is something we've yet to automate. So actually, let's maybe look into doing this. Actually, after looking at the recipes, the easiest way to get glowstone is still just to do this with fortune. Much later in the pack, we can actually grow glowstone with mystical agriculture. And it's going to be a while before we can get there, but I mean, we get so much of this just from fortune. Yeah, I think it's going to be fine just mining it from the nether here. And now we can request our patterns. So yeah, actually one of the first things we need is nether quartz dust. And this is to make quartz glass so that we can make the patterns. But now that we have the pulverizer, that's very easy. And in fact, we'll even do the 64 per recipe. So this will put a full stack in at a time. Also, now that we have ore processing and also power again, we should look at increasing some of the buffers on these ingots, as 64 is nowhere near enough for us. Some of the single item crafts alone will consume this whole buffer and more. So for things like pulsating iron, I think we can actually take the storage downgrade completely out of the drawer. Oh, we never had any storage downgrades. Wait, where's all of our pulsating iron went? Oh, it's all being used here for pulsating crystals. Yeah, I forgot the sag mill has 4 output slots. Alright, well for the rest of this stuff like solarium, I mean, we can increase this. I mean, this is just gold, which we have a lot of gold. So we can go up to 32 stacks of this stuff. Same with the signalum. This is just redstone, copper, and silver, all of which we have lots and lots of. Maybe 32 stacks, though, is a little bit much. Nah, we'll leave it. Energetic, though, definitely we can increase this one. And electrical steel. Same with lumium. I think we'll take the downgrade off of lumium. And it's been a while since we've added to our ingot wall here, so the first one I'm going to add is Osgo glass, which means we'll have to add in osmium and refined glowstone ingots. I think the refined obsidian we should already have here. This is getting tall, it's hard to work with here. Yeah, we already had refined obsidian in one of those interfaces down there. And for the Osgo glass, we will keep in the storage downgrade for the time being, since it does take diamonds to make refined obsidian ingots. And above the alloy smelter, we're going to use the Osgo glass with lapis to give us Osglow lapis. And same thing here, I think we will also keep the storage downgrade on the drawer here. Also, now that we have a bit more resources to our name, I think we should look at upgrading some of these pulverizers. These are still at basic tier with no augmentations and no upgrade kits applied. And all of these upgrade kits still are quite expensive, taking mithril, which we should look at fully automating. We do have to do the demon lord still, but we're halfway there, right? We just made the Osgo lapis, and we should also look at automating the demon ingots. And I think this also allows us to put in some more augments. So I have enough for 2 each. I thought it was only 2 slots with the hardened upgrade kit, but I guess I'll throw another one in each one. But even just with this significantly increases the pulverizer speed and should help to get through some of this backlog. I mean, we still have 178 stacks of copper here. I don't know if it's even touched this thing, and we're up to 202 stacks of iron. Yeah, that's going to be running for quite a while. And since we just added Osglow lapis, we may as well add an extra resonator here for the lunar reactive dust. So here we just have to add the Osglow lapis into the filter on the insert, and also ask for it in the interface. And then same as always, this is becoming my favourite part. We place a drawer, and I think we will storage downgrade this one. And then just add an item conduit for the extract. And that is one more thing off our very long list of things to automate. But with that, I think this is also a good point to wrap up the episode. I was doing a bit of editing on this video, and I didn't end up with quite as much footage as I would have thought. I ended up cutting out many hours of playing here. But we still got quite a lot done here. We managed to set up our autocrafting, and this is huge on its own. This is going to accelerate the pace of the game a lot. We started hooking up a few machines. Probably in between episodes, I'll hook up the rest of these. I'll hook up the sag mill and the alloy smelter, and probably the slice and splice and soul binder as well. In terms of the next steps, I think we're going to be staying on chapter 12 and 13 for a little while. Chapter 14 is technically available for us, but I don't think it's a good idea to rush into this. There's still a lot of things we have to automate in these chapters. Primarily Elevatium, and this requires automating the Atomic Reconstructor and the Empowder. I've been saying for a few episodes that we should get round to this, but I guess we have been chipping away at this. I mean, most of the stuff we do have automated by now. But tomorrow I would like to completely finish this off, or at least that's the goal anyway. But yeah, that's going to do us for today. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow for some more Divine Journey 2.